Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
An election in Dominica within the next 100 days. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Monday, October 14th from the CMC News Center in Bridgetown. I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. Could Dominicans be choosing a new government later this year? Well, that's very much a possibility. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt said on Sunday night that general elections will be held within 100 days. That puts the polls anytime between now and mid-January 2020. He was addressing the launch of the ruling Dominica Labour Party's candidate for the southeastern constituency of La Plaine when he made the announcement. The polls are constitutionally due next year, but political observers have already predicted that the election bell will be rung later this year.
The time is drawing nigh, ladies and gentlemen. The time is getting closer. I can tell you that we have everything in place as far as the Dominica Labour Party is concerned for the next general election. I want always to say to us that Labour is a party of peace. Let us promote peace and tranquility in our country.
The DLP is seeking an unprecedented fifth consecutive term in office, and the United Workers' Party, which will be its main opposition in the contest, has been pressing for electoral reform ahead of the polls. A joint special commission comprising representatives of CARICOM, the OAS and the Commonwealth Secretariat had submitted a report with suggestions for such reform, but last month the government said it could not accept some of the recommendations. Jamaica's tourism officials are in damage control mode on the heels of the Canadian government updating its advisory on travel to the island due to the high level of violent crime. The Canadian government has urged its nationals traveling to the Caribbean country to exercise a high degree of caution at all times against the background of states of emergency in the corporate area, which includes Kingston, the capital, the central parishes of Clarendon and St. Catherine, and the western parishes of St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland, which include the tourist resort towns of Montego Bay and Negril. It said violent crime, including armed robbery and murder, is a problem in large cities despite the presence of police to counter criminal activity. Canadians staying at resorts in affected areas have been told they should restrict their movements to resort security perimeters, and those who want to travel outside should use transportation arranged or provided by the resort. Reacting to the advisory, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett admitted that the safety advisory was cause for concern, but he added that the international travel market was also more aware of Jamaica's efforts to address crime. And he told RJR News that contacting the Canadian authorities about the advisory would merely be an act of public relations, which didn't change anything.
I think the duty to care trumps all of that in relation to the domestic arrangements that we have with our diplomatic partners. I mean, there is no question that the job to report on whatever development there is one that is paramount, and they are going to do it, and they do it everywhere. So I don't hold it against any of our diplomatic partners for reporting on situations as they see it. I just came out of the Canadian market a week ago, and we were having some negatives, primarily the market responding to the soft economy. It experiences now 1 and 2 aggressive price reduction in our competitive areas of Dom Rep and Mexico. However, we have recovered. and we are back to growth path. And I'm pleased to advise that we have 29,000 new seats for the winter coming out of Canada, and that there is a level of optimism in regards to pacing insofar as arrivals up to May of next year.
Staying in Jamaica, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has been weighing in on the recent arrest of former Education Minister Rule Reid on corruption charges. Reid, his wife and daughter were among 5 people who appeared in court last week on a range of charges. They've since been released on bail. Holness says he is saddened by the developments, but insists his government stands firm against corruption. We get more in this report from TVJ News.
Former Education Minister Rule Reid, his wife Sharon and daughter Cheryl, Caribbean Maritime University CMU President Professor Fritz Pinnock, as well as Councillor for the Brownstown Division Kim Brown Lawrence, all implicated in the multi-million-dollar corruption scandal involving the CMU and the Education Ministry. They were arrested and charged last week. JLP leader and Prime Minister Andrew Holness has been watching the developments.
There is no question that it saddens me. It saddens the entire party, and I know that you who sit here as well, that you are indeed very saddened, very concerned by what has happened.
Mr. Holness maintains that the Jamaica Labour Party administration is serious about tackling corruption.
We will do everything within our powers to ensure that wherever there is corruption, wherever there is misuse of power, misappropriation of public resources, that this administration will ensure that the mechanisms are in place to ferret it out and to bring them before the courts.
Corruption has become a political issue, the Prime Minister argues. On the face of it, Mr. Holness says nothing is wrong with that, because politicians must understand that if he or she engages in or tolerates corruption, there's a political price.
Ultimately, this matter, which is a political matter, when the electorate has to now consider and decide what did this government do when they were faced with issues of corruption versus what the pretenders did when they had power.
Meanwhile, Mr. Holness says he's noticed a disturbing trend where the opposition wants to place the Integrity Commission, which investigates and prosecutes corruptions, publicly under political pressure.
Over in Guyana, police and protesters clashed on Sunday in West Coast Demerara, where President David Granger was attending a Hindu school graduation ceremony and dinner. The protesters were part of a non-governmental organization called the Association for Democracy and Human Rights Guyana. Vikash Ramkisoon, a member of the NGO, told Newsroom Guyana that the protesters had been demonstrating peacefully, but the situation escalated when police began to push against the protesters with the barricades. They were moving further from the venue, and some people were injured. Ramkisoon was among 2 people taken into custody at the scene. Divisional Commander of Region 3, Senior Superintendent Lyndon Lord, said the 2, whom he described as ringleaders, were spoken to and sent away. Last month, members and supporters of the main opposition People's Progressive Party mounted a huge protest at an event where President Granger was delivering an address. Since then, the police have been placing barricades around venues where the president was expected. CARICOM is ramping up efforts for reparations. Its Reparations Commission says more letters are being drafted for European countries that were involved in the transatlantic slave trade. We get more in this report from ABS News.
CARICOM Reparations Commission Vice Chair Professor Vereen Shepherd says 6 letters have previously been sent to European powers on the issue of reparations for Caribbean slavery.
The responses were not positive. And so CARICOM took a decision to send another round of letters. So we're in that process now of getting CARICOM to send another round of letters.
The letters will be drafted by the CARICOM Reparations Commission, then forwarded to CARICOM's Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Reparations for review before sent to the European powers. Professor Shepherd says as research continues, historians are discovering more European countries were involved in Caribbean slavery than previously thought.
The CARICOM Secretariat on Monday raised concern about the protracted political crisis in Haiti. Opposition parties there have been staging street protests demanding the resignation of President Jovenel Moïse. When CARICOM leaders met for the annual summit in July this year, they decided to send a delegation comprising the prime ministers of St. Lucia, as well as Jamaica and the Bahamas, to Haiti. But they have been forced to put the visit on hold as the situation in the French-speaking island worsens. The Ghana-based Secretariat says it's still awaiting a response for Good Office's prime ministerial delegation to visit the country. Still to come, Trinidad and Tobago's National Security Minister files a defamation claim against an opposition senator. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Trinidad and Tobago's National Security Minister Stuart Young has filed a defamation claim against opposition United National Congress Senator Mark Wade over allegations he made at a public meeting earlier this year. Young's attorneys sent a pre-action protocol letter to Mark on the matter. Mark allegedly made the statements at a UNC meeting on May 27th. Young's attorneys said the opposition senator falsely alleged the National Security Minister had wrongly used his office to corruptly influence and/or wrongfully facilitate the placement of substantial public funds held by home mortgage, bank, and other financial institutions in which the minister's brother was chief executive officer. And the lawyers have called on Mark to apologize and not to repeat the allegations, and also to pay Young's legal costs in the matter. While we stay in the Twin Island Republic, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions is to determine whether any action will be taken against a company that is alleged to have illegally imported eye injections that resulted in 8 diabetics losing their eyesight. Health Minister Terence Dayal Singh told Parliament on Monday that the company had previously received up to $15 million in tenders from the state.
So we have done 2 things. A file has gone to the DPP for him to look at possible action, and the particular company will not be participating in any tenders. I say no more on that because of the potential for litigation.
Well, regional health officials continue efforts to end the stigma associated with mental health issues, and authorities in Guyana are encouraging the public to take care of their vision. Marie-Claire Williams has the details in this week's Newsline Health.
More attention is being paid to mental health as the Caribbean joins global efforts to remove the stigma. In Belize, this year the focus was on young people as the country observed World Mental Health Day. Eleanor Bennett is the technical administrator in the Ministry of Health. She says there is a lot more to mental health than illness.
Mental health is not necessarily about illnesses, but it's about how we are able to function in our daily lives, at work, at home, how we're able to contribute to society. And some of us are able to do that very well, and some of us are not able to do that very well.
President of the Mental Health Association, Amy Jex, wants people to understand that mental health impacts an individual's overall health.
How are you feeling? What are you doing? Can you express what is going on? What trauma is happening in your life? What events? Are you breaking up with someone? All of these little things during the day. Did you have breakfast? Why didn't you have breakfast? What are the conditions going on in your house? All of these things impact your mental health and how you do on a day-to-day basis. So when we look at these things, then we see it's not just with adults. The main people that we want to talk to reduce that stigma are the young people, because then we get to change their perception of what mental health is.
In other health news, doctors are encouraging the public to maintain their eye health. Ophthalmologist at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, Dr. Celeste Hines, says there is a link between poor nutrition and visual complications. She also advises people to limit their time on electronic devices, as that can seriously impact their vision.
Computer time, phone screens, all of that can affect your eyes, cause it to become dry. You develop eye strain, pains, headaches, and all of that. So of course you limit your computer use. There's a 20-20 rule. Right? Every 20 minutes you should stop using your computer, take a break and look at something about 20 feet away. You take a 20-second break and look at something else at a distance.
Mary Claire Williams, Newsline Health.
Ahead in Newsline Sport, Phil Simmons returned as West Indies head coach. The details of that development when we return. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Brittany Dixon, and you're watching Finding Fit, the show I pair up one client with two trainers. Trainer number one.
Oh my gosh.
It's about fitness, comedy.
You know, I can do this all day, you know.
Drama.
In future, we can ovulate.
Inspirational stories, and so much more. You are gonna love it. You can catch Finding Fit prime time this fall on CaribVision.
After an emergency, you can help yourself and others by looking, listening, and linking.
Looking because you want to see if the person has some signs that is in distressing. Looking for the symptoms, how best you can support the person. And then listening, because listening is very important. Listening with your ears, listening with your eyes. If you do that well, then you'll be able to link them to the appropriate resources.
Be ready, look, listen, and link.
What type of law do you generally practice?
Well, my partner and I, the firm of Wolf & Furman, we practice primarily medical malpractice and some personal injury law. We've been partners now for 22 years and have had an interesting road to get where we are now. We started off defending physicians in medical malpractice suits. My partner and I, after we started, we grew the firm to over 20 attorneys.
As a small business owner, you have to make sure your technology is available and operational at all times. But what happens when your network crashes, your email goes down, or your user systems get a virus? You may try to fix the issue yourself, but you can end up making the problem a lot worse. At Digital Networking Solutions, we're more than just people who try to fix your computers. We monitor, maintain, and support your IT systems so that you can focus on growing your business to its fullest potential. When you sign up for one of our IT support plans, we get familiar with your IT environment beforehand, so we can manage it proactively as if it were our own. Your business deserves the best IT services available to ensure it functions to its maximum efficiency. So give us a try today. Email or call us and we'll give you a free network assessment to determine whether now is the time for your small business to adopt digital networking solutions for a smoother, more reliable network experience.
Former West Indies batsman Phil Simmons has been named head coach of the men's senior team again on a 4-year contract. The 56-year-old beat out Test legend Desmond Haynes and incumbent Floyd Reefer for the position. In a release on Monday, Cricket West Indies said the appointment of Simmons came after the selection panel concluded a short but intensive recruitment process. Simmons led West Indies for 18 months before being dramatically sacked in September 2016, just 5 months after overseeing the Caribbean side's capture of the T20 World Cup in India. Cricket West Indies boss Ricky Skerritt said bringing Simmons back is not just righting a past wrong, and he's confident the right man was chosen for the job at the right time. Skerritt also thanked Reefer for the hard work he put in as interim coach, and Director of Cricket Jimmy Adams said he had no doubt that Simmons brings the requisite leadership skills and experience needed to drive improvement across the West Indies international squads, and he said he was looking forward to supporting him in the role. Still in cricket, a resurgent Barbados Tridents inflicted a demoralizing 27-run defeat on favourites Guyana Amazon Warriors to win their second Caribbean Premier League title on Saturday night. Choosing to bat first, Tridents rallied to 171 for 6 thanks mainly to 50 off 27 balls from veteran left-hander Jonathan Carter. Opener Johnson Charles, the Tridents' leading scorer this season, struck 39 off 22 balls, while Englishman Alex Hales chipped in with 28 off 24 deliveries.
First, Alex Hales and Johnson Charles got the innings going. Hales in particular took the bowlers to the attack. So too Johnson Charles got into the attack. That was a hero maximum from Alex Hales, and this was his wicket.
Ball seemed to stay in the air forever. And then Salt, well, this was unlucky. The Amazon Warriors probably a little fortuitous. And Charles just kept about his work. Striking at almost 180. A couple of big sixes around the ground, and then eventually falling for 39 off 22 deliveries. So I hope the next man to go. And then was this a big moment in the game? Mason Holder coming back for 2, finding himself well short. Excellent fielding in the deep from the always impressive Hayden Walsh Jr.
Jonathan Carter had to play that anchor role, but he had to get runs in quick time. This was a mix-up with Carter and Shakib Al-Hassan, clearly frustrated, but it placed a lot more responsibility on Jonathan Carter, who continued to flourish with his batting. This was a lovely hit down the ground, and again, choosing the straight option, he did it to really good effect. Ashley Nurse, well, he found form late in the tournament, and he was going after everything that was an outside edge. And Jonathan Carter brought up his second CPL half-century.
Amazon Warriors then suffered an uncharacteristic batting meltdown and muffed what should have been a straightforward runs chase in ideal conditions, stumbling to 144 for 9 off their allotted overs.
72 to get. Almost could have been a dismissal first ball. Yeah, the second ball, and they were off to a flyer. Emraj pulled a little hamstring and then had to throw his hand. Eventually falling, Hetmeyer to the crease. He came and went quickly. King kept on going in such a rich vein of form coming into the final. Kept playing it everywhere. A bit fortuitous here. Almost dismissed in the deep. And Shoaib Malik, normally the anchor of this team, falling cheap, falling for just 4. Curran Beautiful backswing.
The big wicket of Brandon King came from the bowling of Ashley Nuss. A good piece of stumping by Shea Hope. That was a chance that Shakib Al Hassan couldn't quite hold on to. But then Nicholas Puran looking for the big hit. He fell short and Alex Hales took a good catch. Jason Holder joined the act and his catching was outstanding. It left a lot for Romario Shepherd and Kimo Paul. Shepherd was dismissed, going after a wide one. And then Green tried his best to get a lot of boundaries. Kimo Paul struck this one over deep mid-wicket and then attempting one over long on, found Jason Holder. Chris Green at that time had to go at about 20 runs for over before he fell, and that was the winning moment. The Tridents lifting their second Hero CPL title and going on to win by 27 runs.
And finally, in football, Jamaica's unbeaten Reggae Boys remain firmly on course for promotion to League A and qualification for the CONCACAF Gold Cup after brushing aside Aruba 2-0 in the Nations League on Saturday night. Devon Williams put the hosts ahead in the 13th minute, and Shamar Nicholson scored later on after missing a second-half penalty.
Kamar Lawrence back towards the spot. Deflected shot and an opening goal for Jamaica. Devon Williams. Marshall, Kamar Lawrence, pressing, and a heavy touch from Orja. Back to his left, it's Nicholson. On his right, Abdul stood him up. Keeps it a 1-goal deficit for Aruba. Here's a break for Aruba, their best chance of the night. Deflected, and it's wide. Quick restart for Jamaica. It's on here, and a penalty given. And he skies it onto the track. Missed opportunity for Nicholson. Onto his right, spinning. Nicholson finally gets his goal. The Reggae Boys, a comfortable 2-0 win. 9 points.
Victory leaves Jamaica top of Group C of League B with 9 points, 3 clear of Antigua and Barbuda. And that's sports. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
When we look at the characteristics of stones that are responsible for death in our region, we experience more fatalities related to storm surge and to major rain and flooding.
This is nobody's life, and I don't want to see the next hurricane like this.
My neighbor roof, run! Boy, watch out. Oh, you don't see what we see.
Dominica! Yes! That's the good promoter says. Yes! We're making up! Yes! So what? Yes! Listen to this! Start to drop!
Again, the major developments of this day. Dominica's Prime Minister says elections will be held within the next 100 days. And in sports, Phil Simmons returns as head coach of the West Indies men's senior team on a 4-year contract. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports around the clock, subscribe to CanadaNews.com. And for more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CNC News, thank you for watching and have a good night.